Hi everyone, Jack from Maths Forge. In today's lesson, we're going to be doing order of operations, also known as BIDMAS. So before we can even begin with a question, let's take a look at what BIDMAS actually means. So we have B, I, D, M, A, and S, BIDMAS. And this is the order that you should carry out calculations in. So the top letter, which stands for brackets, is the first thing that you should do. Anything that's in brackets, you do that calculation first before you do the rest of them. And it goes in this order. The next operation is indices. Another word for this is powers. So anything with a power, you calculate it after you calculate the terms with brackets around them. The third order of operation is division, then multiplication, then addition, and finally subtraction. And it's best for you to remember this and practice questions with it. So let's have a go at the one-star question. So here we're being asked to calculate the following: 7 plus 24 divided by 6. If I take a look at BIDMAS, anything with brackets should be operated on first, but there is nothing with brackets here, so we don't need this. The next is indices, anything with a power, but there is nothing with a power, so again, we don't need this. And the next most important operation is division. And there is a division here. You can see it, 24 divided by 6. So according to BIDMAS, we should do this calculation first, 24 divided by 6, which is 4. We still have the 7 plus, which we haven't used, so we're going to bring that down here. And we can see that there's no more division. There is no multiplication taking place. There is an addition taking place. It's 7 plus 4, so we should go ahead and calculate this. 7 plus 4 is indeed 11, and this should be our final answer. And if we check it, there it is. Let's do a two-star example. So let's remember BIDMAS, B-I-D-M-A-S. Anything with brackets, calculate that first, but there's nothing with brackets. So I'm going to go ahead and check the next one. Indices, there's nothing with a power. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. Division, there's nothing with a division. So I'm going to go ahead into multiplication, and there it is, 5 times 7. So I'm going to go ahead and do that calculation first. 5 times 7 is 35. Then we have a plus 4 at the end, and a 5 plus at the beginning, which I'm going to bring down. Now, there is no longer any multiplication, so we'll cross that off. The next thing to do is addition. Well, there's two additions here, so it doesn't really matter which order you do it in. But for good practice, I would always do it from left to right. So we're going to do 5 plus 35, which is 40, and then we have the plus 4. And then 40 plus 4, which is 44. This should be our final answer, and if we check it, there it is. Now let's do a 3-star example. So here we have 3 times 15 minus 3 in brackets squared. So let's just quickly write out our BIDMAS. So the first thing we should calculate is anything that has brackets around it. So we have a 15 minus 3, which has brackets around it. So that's the first calculation we're going to do. 15 minus 3 is 12. And this power on the outside is still there. And then we have a 3 times at the beginning. So the only calculation we've done are the numbers in the brackets. Now there are no longer any brackets. The next thing we should do is indices. So powers, there's a power here. So we should go ahead and do 12 squared next. 12 squared is 12 times 12, which gives us 144. And then we have 3 times at the beginning. So we've finished with our indices. There is no division. There is multiplication, 3 times 144, which will give us 432. And if we check our answer, there it is. For this 3-star example, BIDMAS doesn't work in the same way that you'd expect. We have a square root here, and it's covering 4 times 25. So the square root is actually covering this entire calculation within. And then we have a minus 5 on the outside. The best way to approach this is to simplify whatever you can inside of the square root first, and then apply the square root. So then we have 4 times 25, which is 100. And don't forget the square root is covering it all. And then we have minus 5 on the outside. And now, what do you do first? The square root of 100 or the minus 5? Now we can call on BIDMAS to actually help us with this order. BIDMAS says indices before subtraction. And the square root counts as an indice. It's a root. It's a type of power. So if we go ahead and do the square root of 100, so a number that multiplies by itself to get 100, well, that number is 10. And then we have minus 5. And now we can just do 10 minus 5, which leaves us with a final answer of 5. And if we check our answer, there it is. And that's it for order of operations. In most cases, BIDMAS will be very useful to determine the order of operation, so the order that you do your calculation in. And in some cases, it's best to just see what's happening to the numbers first, as we've seen in this example, and then carry out your calculation logically.